That's right, the video you've all been waiting for is here, so get ready to have an aneurysm because I will be doing a tier list of all the 4K OLED monitors that I've reviewed in 2024 thus far. Of course, I'll be making update videos when I get more in, but as for now, let's start with everything that I've got at the moment. And do be aware, I will have affiliate links in the description below to all these displays, so for your convenience and my benefit, please do go ahead and use those. But let's start off with the most controversial one on this list, the Alienware AW3225QF. Now, this was the first 4K 240Hz HDR Quantum OLED monitor to launch in 2024, and it launched in a bit of a rough state. In fact, when I first was considering this on a tier list, I was thinking it was more of a C tier monitor. However, the firmware updates have vastly improved this monitor since its release, and now I'm gonna go ahead and say that this is a tough one because I still have a bit of a bad taste in my mouth over the fact that it launched with some pretty messy firmware with bugs and other issues, as well as the fact that it was having scratches on a bunch of the screens that were shipping out. And come on, guys, that is just totally unacceptable. However, again, firmware fix now, and they do have a protective film over it. So this is a tough one. You know what? I'm going to put this one into B tier because I still feel like it should have launched in a better state. Sure, this could easily be an A tier monitor because in the state that it's in today, it's good, but I'm going to go ahead and punish them a little bit for that rough launch and put it in B tier. Just my opinion, as I would like them to do a little bit better on their next launch. But now let's go ahead and move on to the FO32U2, and here's where we're gonna have to go ahead and dive a little bit deeper into the difference between these different monitors, because yes, this is also a 32-inch 4K 240Hz Quantum OLED monitor, just like the Alienware, but there are some slight differences. First of all, the brightness on this one was a little bit higher in my testing. Now, it wasn't a drastic increase, but it was a nice thing to see. Also, the launch firmware on this one was a little bit better, and another big difference between these two monitors is that the Alienware is a slightly curved display. I believe it was 1700R, whereas the Gigabyte one here, the FO32U2, is actually a flat panel. Now, this is not the U2P, so this does not come with DisplayPort 2.1. It just has 1.4. However, it also does have some other features, such as the ability to shrink your screen and play at a lower resolution without stretching that resolution, and it also has KVM, I believe, and a few other niceties as well. And coming in at a price of around $1,100, I do think that this is, because it launched in a better state, probably a slightly better monitor than the AW3225QF, at least in my opinion. And do be aware, although I have reviewed these, I am going to have my own biases and opinions when it comes to whether it's flat versus curved or brightness, things such as that. And of course, let me know in the comments below if you feel like anything should be changed. But so far, that's where I think the list should be starting. But now let's go ahead and move on to one. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. This is kind of controversial to have in a monitor list because, let's be honest, this is a TV, but I do think that TVs can be used as monitors perfectly fine as long as you have the space for it. Now, for me personally, since I'm filming so much stuff in my room now, I no longer have room for these larger displays, but for those of you out there who do, the LG G4 this year that I reviewed is absolutely incredible. Now, this one is an MLA OLED based display, and it is an insane 55 inches, so be aware, this is not for everyone. This is for those of you who want the larger screens, but if you're okay with a larger screen, let's be honest, the TVs get way brighter than the monitors, and this leads to far more HDR impact and just an excellent HDR experience overall. Of course, it has the same per pixel local dimming as these other two, but the other difference aside from the OLED tech itself and the size would be that, this is 144 Hz and not 240 Hz. Now, to be honest with you guys, the difference between 144 and 240 isn't enormous, but it's certainly noticeable and can be helpful for online gaming especially. And the higher the refresh rate, the better in my opinion. But despite that, because it's so much brighter, I mean, we're talking like 3 times brighter in actual games, I think as an HDR display overall, it is better than the OLED monitors if you can stomach the 55-inch size. So very controversial here, guys. I understand that. Let me know in the comments below if you feel like that's not warranted. However, I used it for a monitor for quite some time and it is absolutely incredible. Plus, you get stuff that comes with TVs such as apps and the better sound, stuff like that. But now let's move on to another more traditional monitor, the MSI MAG 321UPX. This is another controversial one. Guys, I'm gonna get roasted in the comments of this video because let's be honest, all these monitors have something about them that's worth arguing about. Certainly this one, as it does not have firmware updates, but at a oh, by the way, that G4 is $2,600. So you know what? Because of that price, let me real quickly drop that down to A tier. I feel like the price is just too high, despite the fact that it's better. That is an astoundingly high price. So let's put it in A tier with the Gigabyte. Anyway, back to the MSI 321UPX. This one, no firmware updates, but it comes in at a price of $900. That is such an incredible price for this monitor. And I'll be honest with you guys, I don't like the idea that it doesn't have firmware updates, but over DisplayPort on an NVIDIA graphics card, I detected no issues with this display. And to make things better, it actually followed the EOTF curves properly for the vast majority of all the stuff that I ran across it. And overall, it was just an excellent plug and play experience. And for $900, we're talking $200 lower than the Gigabyte. And then the Alienware is coming in at $1,200, I believe. So that's gonna be $300 more than this one. It's such a good price that I'm really torn between A tier and S tier. I wanna put it in S tier because of the price, but I don't want manufacturers to continue to not put firmware updates on monitors. So for that reason, even though this is a really excellent monitor, I'm gonna put it into A tier. And now let's start to actually organize A tier as to which I think is more A tier than the other. And this is tough because I think to the left will be the most A tier, closest to S, and then to the right will be closest to B. I'm gonna say, you know what? The G4 is definitely way better than this. The price of that thing is so good, but I think the G4 has to be better than that. And I think the G4 also has to be better than the Gigabyte. But again, that price is excluding it from being into the S tier category, as well as that 55-inch size. That's just not for everybody. I think this is fair. The Gigabyte, I do think overall is worth the slight premium over the MSI, but it really, really depends on what you want. Sure, you get more features and it's very, very slightly brighter. Let's be honest, they're mostly the same. Although the other thing I don't like about this one is that the cords kind of stick out and look ugly. So probably best to be bottom of A tier. But now let's move on to the final one, the final 4K OLED that could be used as a monitor that I've reviewed this year, and that's the 42-inch LG C4. Probably a lot less controversial than 55 inches as a monitor. I know a lot of people use 55, 65, even 77 inches, but far more are in that 32 to 42-inch size. Now this one, a ton of people were kind of discounting this because, hey, it's using old WOLED technology. They're not even using MLA anymore. That micro lens array really allows the G4 to stretch its legs and be far, far brighter than these monitors, whereas the old WOLED technology, the Evo series, just simply isn't gonna keep up with Quantum Dot OLED, or so we thought. Well, as it turns out, the 10% window brightness on the C4 is so much higher than Quantum Dot OLED that, well, it actually in games has been, in my experience and in my testing, significantly brighter than the Quantum Dot OLEDs. Not only that, but while Quantum Dot OLED does have the better color volume, there's no doubt about that. The colors will be better on Quantum Dot OLED. Overall, since there's such a massive brightness advantage on this C4 and it gives us the ability to boost color brightness in a way that we haven't been able to before on the C3, this is a massive, massive upgrade over the C3, including going from 120 to 144 hertz. I think, and this is gonna be controversial, guys, I think this is better than the Quantum Dot OLEDs, and it's not as good as the G4. The G4 is better, but The C4, the 42-inch size, and the much lower price of $1,500, which by the way is still too high. Don't get me wrong, the C4 should not be $1,500. It should be like $1,100 or $1,200 to be competing with these more often. However, from a purely display aspect and the fact that it is kind of affordable, you know, in comparison to $2,600 of the G4 and a more reasonable 42-inch size, I'm gonna throw this one in S tier. I'm using it right now. This is my monitor of choice right now. Again, affiliate link in the description below if you wanna buy any of these. But this thing is so good. My only concern with this one is the dimming. You really don't have much dimming on these two monitors, but on the C4, you actually have to go into the service menu and disable dimming for it to go away. I've done that. I officially don't recommend it as it could void your warranty, but now that I've disabled the dimming, this is just such an excellent monitor. It's so good. It's brighter in general in games. I feel like the accuracy is going to be a little bit better. It ties into CalMan better, so I can better go ahead and calibrate it for editing, that sort of thing. So I think overall the C4 is the best display on the market right now so far that I've tested in 2024 when it comes to 4K OLED monitors. However, I'm sure this will be subject to change as we get more monitors throughout the year, and there are some that I haven't been able to test yet, such as the Asus PG32UCDM, the MPG 321URX, the FO32U2P with DisplayPort 2.1. There's a lot of stuff still coming in, so if you're not subscribed, I do very, very in-depth reviews of all of these, and I will be posting as many as I possibly can, whether I get it sent to me or I have to buy it myself. I'll be doing it, so keep your eyes open, as I do expect this list here will continue to get more spicy as the year goes by. Whether you're looking to connect a new console, gaming PC, or just need a fast and reliable HDMI cable to connect over long distances, RuPro has you covered with their certified 8K HDMI 2.1 fiber optic cable, available in sizes of up to 50 feet and can deliver a perfect full 48 gigabits per second connection over distances other cables could only dream of reaching. And with 48 gigabits per second of bandwidth, it can easily drive 8K 60 FPS or 4K 144 FPS 10-bit HDR video through its ultra-thin, flexible, and durable housing, and it even supports ER. So if you're in the market for a cable that can drive a beautiful new TV or monitor, be sure to check out RuPro on Amazon today.